Hey, I'm Amber DeLauer from SixPackAbs.com, and I have an awesome leg workout today that we're gonna do. And Thomas, my husband, is here to kind of walk us through the science, and we have little Thomas here as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna break it down as she's going through some of the movements, but she's gonna lead the way and show you one of her top hamstring and glute workouts that you can do with super minimal equipment. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, check out in the description below is the link to the science-based six-pack program, which is now the world's leading intermittent fasting program. Super stoked to be able to say that. So that's down in the description below. So you take it away. Show us what you're gonna do.
We're gonna get started, but first I have to move these dogs out of the way. All right, guys, come on. Scooch, scooch, scooch. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna start with some lying hamstring curls. Now, you might have a piece of equipment at your gym that you can actually do hamstring curls on. But I like to do it this way just because it gives me a little bit more movement.
You got another dog problem here. Timmy.
All right, clear of all dogs. All right, so first we're just gonna start by attaching the little piece here to our foot, to our ankle, and we're just gonna pull up, just like this. Is that the scientific term, by the way, the piece to our ankle?
Yes. So most of the idea of what she's doing here, you see that she's actually moving with fairly decent tempo. So sometimes we'll go a little bit slower where you're emphasizing the hamstring a little bit more, but since she's activating right now, the whole idea is, again, activating the posterior chain. Sound like a broken record because I say that all the time. She's moving a little bit faster, getting some blood moving there, getting the blood isolated there so that she can get a little bit more activation from it later on. How many reps are you hitting here?
Well, I was just gonna kind of see how many I could get because I'm just starting out.
That was the right answer to the question, actually.
Okay.
Because as you guys know, I'm not about counting reps. I'm more about trying to get time under tension, go into failure.
And these get heavy really quick too. Oh, all right, I'm gonna switch sides.
Got some good 90s rap going in the background here. Salt and pepper.
I wouldn't know, I wasn't born in the 90s. Just kidding. I think we need to call the exterminator.
We have a dog problem.
We have a serious
Come on.
All right, so we're just gonna switch sides. Just move the ankle band over to the other foot. And same thing on this side.
So one of the things you wanna maybe pay attention to is keeping both of your hips on the ground as much as you can. So what you don't wanna have happen is, you notice how she's not twisting. Go ahead and show them what it would look like if you were like really bringing this hip. Yeah, like a lot of people, you end up with dogs underneath you. No, like that, this is improper form. See that rotation there? Want to avoid that, so go ahead and keep it tight now.
So when you go a little bit too heavy, right? That's what happens?
Yep, or when you just get fatigued. So if you're getting to that point, that's usually an indicator that it's time to honestly just stop it.
So I'm getting to that point now.
Yep, starting to cheat a little bit.
Go ahead and stop here.
And it's less about cheating and more about injuring yourself.
Okay, so the next one we're gonna do is hip thrusters. These are so difficult. And you don't have to use a lot of weight with this. I like to try to use a little bit heavier weight just so that I can get a little bit deeper into the movement.
He really likes these.
All right. So we're just gonna bring the shoulders down onto the bench here, grip here, and we're just gonna drop the hips down to the floor and push up. Does that look okay?
No, that's perfect. And you're keeping your heels dug in, which
right.
If you notice, you don't want to roll up to the balls of your feet. That's going to take it into the quads, which we don't mind activating a tiny bit, but we're really trying to get good hamstring glute activation here. That's solid. Keep the abs super tight while you're doing it too. Yeah, there you go. Good, dig those heels.
So next we're gonna go into Bulgarian lunges or Bulgarian squats. And so with this, we're just gonna go ahead and grab our dumbbells here and pop one foot up onto the bench here. And you kind of wanna step out a little bit further than you would in a normal lunge because of the length that your foot is up, the height.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna come down and push up.
Nice.
Just like that.
Again, digging that heel in as much as you can. Try to avoid pushing up with the back leg. One of the things that I do, just as a matter of preference, everyone's different, is I roll the back foot onto the top of my toe. So she's doing it one variation. Another variation is like this, where you're actually putting your foot back. And what that's going to do is that's going to completely inhibit that back leg from being involved in pushing you up.
Okay.
You're good.
So what that's going to look like is just pushing the toe like Thomas did up there, and then coming down.
Notice how it puts a lot more brunt on that front leg? It reduces any instance of you possibly,
Oh God, don't do that when you're tired.
If you're starting these out, if you're not ready to go with straight dumbbells, one of the things you can do is just body weight, but another thing that I do sometimes is if you just grab a straight bar, I don't have one here that's like a light bar, but most gyms will have just a really simple light bar or a PVC pipe. You can step into the position and have the bar like that, and then just hold and balance yourself until you get used to it. Doing them with a baby is also a great way to incorporate the family into it.
You know, another good thing that you can do is if there's actually a squat rack set up, like this one is over here, you could theoretically move the bench over, come over here, and kind of just have this here to touch for balance every now and again.
Yeah, you don't want to be twisting and tweaking your back up when you're starting these out.
For sure, for sure. Also, keep track of which side you did last time. All right, so you're here, and again, just like that. Animal, come back.
It just leaves.
All right, I'm gonna try it Thomas's crazy way with the toe on top. This is definitely the more difficult variation for those of you that have stronger buns. Okay, so now we're moving on to single leg deadlifts. Now, again, with the balance thing, you know, you can do that again, standing next to the squat rack or even next to a bench that's elevated a little bit, just because you get a little wobbly, especially if you're new at doing these. So you're just gonna take this in hand. You could do this same hand or opposite hand, right?
Yeah, either one. Yeah, it's going to utilize different things. So if you're trying to work a little bit more on core, then you can go on the same leg. But the other thing is, depending on how heavy you go, if you're going really, really heavy, you don't want to be necessarily opposing, because then you've got one leg here and you're heavy and you're pulling yourself and actually twisting your spine in a way that you don't really want to be doing. So if you're going light, it's okay to be opposite.
Right.
Otherwise, if you're going heavy, you want to keep it the same, because what that's going to do is that's going to plant you into that position that you're in.
Okay, and I tend to do the same side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hold this out here. And really important, find a spot on the wall or on the floor for you to just look at so your head and neck is really nice and straight. And you're gonna dip down and pull up, just like that.
It's really good form on those. One of the things I like to incorporate too is, and she's already doing it, is at the bottom, a slight buckle of the knee. And what that does is that activates not only the glute medius, but it actually gets the tie-in where the hamstring comes into the glute, which is really hard to activate unless you are just in.
You heard it.
You heard it straight from the man himself. It's hard to activate.
From the boss. Whew. And you'll notice when you start to get fatigued, you'll start to wobble a little bit. So it's probably time for me to switch legs. Again, focusing on a spot on the floor. Doing this.
Blah, blah, blah. That's advanced variation.
Make me fall over. Oh, one more time. You're distracting me, child. Can you move like right there? Cool. You'll notice with these, if anybody is in like your vision, it makes it really hard to do these. Who needs workout music? I made that.
Wow. All right.
All right.
Okay. So again, guys, the whole idea here, remember, is keeping this constantly moving. So even though we're taking the time to stop and explain this, you might want to go through this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times through in a rotation, just for a set period of time to keep that constant time under tension. So even though we're taking the time to explain these to you, it's all about keeping it moving. You don't have to go to failure in every single one. Or do we? Okay, what's next, Amber?
Okay, so now we're moving on. So this is the last movement in the rotation. So this is a kettlebell sumo squat. So you're gonna go probably a little bit heavier on your kettlebell here, on your weight, and you're gonna kind of point your feet out to the sides here. So the whole goal here is kind of getting the inside of the legs, which, you know, for me with pregnancy was a little bit more of a problem area where I accumulated a little bit more fat. So I want to tone that up. So we're just going to dip, keeping the back really nice and straight, and push up. Does that look okay?
Yep. And show them how they can do a kind of a plie squat variation too, rolling onto the toes. So you can actually come up and go onto the toes if you wanted to.
Like that?
And do more of it, which is a lot tougher. That's a plie squat, and that engages the lower part of the hamstring and also engages the calves. But that's advanced variation. You don't have to do that right now.
I think I'm too short.
Well, you can go a little bit closer,
wide, yeah?
closer stance when you do it.
Okay.
And now go, bring the toes in a tiny bit closer together. Now get on your toes.
Okay, so here, go on my toes.
And really try to keep the heels off the whole time as you go down. Try that.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like that?
A lot more advanced variation. You don't have to do that right now. But different variations that you guys can try.
It actually feels good. It's kind of a weird movement to get at first, but.
As long as you slide the butt back so your knees aren't coming over your toes, respectively speaking.
Are my knees going over my toes?
No, you're good. But remember that the knees come over the toes. Take this baby for 1 second. The knees can come over the toes in multiple different ways. So the knees can come, so if your heels are planted, knees going over the toes look like this. But we have to remember, relatively speaking, if your heels are already off the ground, you don't want your knees to go over the toes, which means there's still a kind of forward angle. So as you're standing right here, it's going to look like your knees are over your toes, but they're technically not, because you're still at that 90-degree here, and they're not over the toes there. So we just don't want things like this. We don't want this ultra stretching of the Achilles tendon, and we don't want this massive, massive dorsiflexion. That's just what we don't want there. So it's all good if you're coming up on your toes, as long as when you squat, you're still not doing like that. You just want to make sure that you're balancing and making sure you're never coming over your toes, respectively speaking, if your whole body was tilted forward.
Okay, he wants dad back. So would you say that going through this whole workout would be a good thing to do kind of without weights if you're a beginner, just to start out?
Yeah, I would recommend everyone go through the circuit at least 2 times.
Okay.
And if you're totally beginner, you don't have to use weights, but I think that you're going to need some weights to really get a little bit of an effect as you get going. Why are you so, now he's all happy.
So this has been a workout that I've actually gone through a lot of times since having him 5 months ago. So it's definitely been one that I feel like has gotten my legs back in shape pretty quickly. So do you have anything to add? I mean, I would ask you if you had anything to add, but.
As always, make sure you keep it locked in here on SixPackAbs.com.
And if you want to check out the fasting program, it's down below, which also includes the time and retention workouts, which incorporate some of what we just displayed here. So, and we're going to start bringing Amber a lot more into the equation here so that she can start doing some more of her videos as far as workout routines go and as far as some specific female nutrition advice too. So make sure you're keeping it locked in here. And Amber, go ahead and close it off.
Have a good day. Thanks for watching.